I am Rashawn McDonald, the host of Money Making Conversation Masterclass, where we encourage people to stop reading other people's success stories and start planning their own. Join us as we travel across the country, visiting small businesses and interviewing celebrities to see how they're running their companies and nonprofits who are making a difference in their local communities. Now sit back and watch as we unlock the secrets to their success. Hi, I'm Rashawn McDonald. I host the Money Making Conversation Masterclass show. The interviews and information that this show provides are for everyone. It's time to stop reading other people's success stories and really start living your own. My guest is attorney Benjamin Crump. Backstage in 2015, he was at the Neighborhood Awards in Atlanta, Georgia. He told me about his dream to become America's lawyer. Then let's flash to 2022. The Griot Awards honored attorney Benjamin Crump for raising the value of Black life in America. He's America's go-to police brutality lawyer, specialized in civil rights and catastrophic personal injury cases, such as wrongful death lawsuits. Recently, 8 former Northwestern football players have retained his legal services, just to show you how expansive his legal practice is. It's focused on things that brought to fame were Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, George Floyd, Anderson, Randy Cox, Nichols, to people affected by the Flint water crisis. Please welcome to Money Making Conversation. I call him my friend, my frat brother, attorney Benjamin Crump. How you doing, sir?
How you doing, mentor? It's so good to see you, man.
Well, I see you a lot. I see you on a documentary, and to my understanding, that documentary has been nominated for an Emmy. Am I right?
God is good.
Talk about that documentary, because, sometimes you still got to do your job. And these cameras are following you around. And then in a lot of emotional stress situations, how do we be able to balance that and still stay in the real moments?
Well, Rashawn, a lot of it came from your tutelage when we did Evidence of Innocence, right, and understanding that to win this battle for justice and equality for all, it was going to take more than just fighting in the court of law, that we were going to have to also take this fight in the court of public opinion. And I know there's no more powerful force in shaping thoughts in society than television. And so after we did Evidence of Innocence, I said, this is a very powerful tool. And one of the things when Netflix came to me, this is before George Floyd was murdered and before Breonna Taylor was killed, they said, Attorney Crump, we think what you're doing is just incredible. It's fascinating. And we want to do a documentary on you. And I thought, mentor, I said, hold on, it's far too early to do a documentary. I ain't know where you're dying. You do that at the end of a person's life. And they said, no, we think it's important to highlight your work.
Right.
And so I said, okay. And as God would have it, Rashawn, then I got the call for Ahmaud Arbery, who was lynched for jogging while black, and then Breonna Taylor, who was killed when they violated her constitutional rights with a no-knock warrant, and then George Floyd. And Netflix was there filming the whole time, and it was very sensitive because we had to balance what the public could see and what you had to have confidentially, because it was a historical legal battle we were embarking upon. And we had this young Afro-Puerto Rican director named Nadia Hallgren, who was incredible. She had just finished doing the documentary for Michelle Obama's Becoming. So she was in high demand, Rashawn, and she said, Kenya Barris and Netflix said, what do you want to do next? And they gave her a list of things, and she said, I agree what Ben Crump is doing is historic, and she masterfully captured everything. And, we won the NAACP Image Awards.
I remember that.
20 million people across the world, because Netflix is in 97 million households.
And 180 countries.
Yeah, you're right, Fred. And so they can tell everybody who clicks in and watches. And so they told us worldwide, I mean, it's mind-boggling when you think about it, 20 million people tuning in to watch what kind of work we do. And that helps us in these battles of social justice now more than ever. And so it was very, thought-provoking what the world has seen. They got into my personal life, and that was a big decision, Rashad.
I know it was. We
It's
talked
one
about
thing,
that, about your daughter and leaving and going on the weekend and explaining her your role and not being here for certain moments, but being there for other people's important moments. Remember, we have those personal conversations about that.
Yeah, and so it was deep, but my wife and my family, we all decided that if it helped with the mission of trying to give greater value to Black lives and letting us have a better chance at giving everybody an equal opportunity at the American dream, then we would let Netflix into our life and follow me for almost 2 years with that camera. Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot. But when you see the value of the work and you look back, did you get emotional when you saw it?
I did. And Nadia Hallgren was so good of a director that watching the documentary Civil revealed to me things that I didn't even know about myself.
Right.
Like one of the things, Rashawn, that people always ask me is, how do you deal with all this tragedy and grief and stuff? Does it get to you? And a lot of times I say about my personal hero, Thurgood Marshall, and how he said you would have to compartmentalize things, because if you gave way to emotion, then you couldn't prevent more lynchings, because back then he was fighting Black people hanging from trees. And so he would say, I can't get emotional. I just got to stay focused on the mission. And so that's what I would do for Rashawn, whether it's Trayvon, Mike Brown, Breonna Taylor, all these. I would be so focused to try to make sure that the families, as they're looking to me to help them try to make sense of something that makes no sense at all, that I don't give way to emotion, because then that creates us not getting justice, and there'll be more hashtags, more Black people getting killed. But when I watched the video, I saw the outward manifestation of the internal trauma that even I was dealing with. Nadia had me so many times I would rub my temples or rub my forehead, and I kept saying, man, I ain't not rubbed my head that much. But what it was, me dealing with the internal trauma. So that's how good she was. She showed all those vulnerable spots. And I think that's why it's nominated for an Emmy, to all of our delight.
Attorney Crump, I'm talking to him right now about our life, our personal relationships. And, last time we got on the phone together was when I connected you with Stephen A. Smith. It was about the police officers who had brutalized that young man. And you had a press conference, but it was equally important for you to have that interview with Stephen A. Smith, because it's about getting the message out to everybody about what's going on, because sometimes you need different voices to help the story get told correctly, correct?
Absolutely. That was Tyree Nichols, Rashawn, who was killed by 5 Black police officers in Memphis, Tennessee, and it was just tragic on so many levels. Not only did the video show that Tyree Nichols was so compliant, he said, why are y'all doing this to me?
Yes.
I'm just trying to get home. Mm-hmm. And I mean, to have those Black police officers beat him like that was so troubling, Rashawn, because as I told Stephen A. Smith, our frat brother, who has a different audience that I normally don't speak to, I said, that could have been their little brother. Mm-hmm. How is it that they couldn't see that was somebody's little brother, that was somebody's son? And why couldn't they have the consideration, the passion, the empathy that this young Black person who had skin just like them could have been their family members? And so it was tragic, and it was before, when everything was breaking. We hadn't had the funeral yet. Vice President Kamala Harris came and spoke at the funeral, because we wanted to show to the world. Sometimes people say, Rashawn, that, oh, well, nobody cares unless it's a white person killing a black person. That's not true.
Right.
What we care about is any injustice. The pain is real. It doesn't matter if it's a black hand or a white hand that pulls the trigger. The pain is just the same. And that's what we were saying. We want equal justice no matter what the situation is.
I always remember what you told me. You said, Rashawn, just sit in the back of a courtroom and you realize that it is not justice for all. That is always, when we did evidence of innocence, you taught me that note. You said, you'll see, just sit in the back of a courtroom and you see there is a difference between black justice and white justice. And that's a tragic, correct?
Yeah, it's so tragic. I mean, you never have to take my word for it. Go in any courtroom in America, sit in the back and see how justice is administered. You have black people and white people have very similar crimes. And you so oftentimes see the young white people get a slap on the wrist and they're escorted out the courtroom to live out the fulfillment of their destiny that God has for them and have every opportunity at the American dream. But then you see black and brown people have the same crimes and they're taken to the corner of the courtroom, fingerprinted, handcuffed, and convicted of a trumped-up felony conviction. And I do mean trumped up. And then, Rashawn, for the rest of their life, they have to wear that scarlet letter of being a convicted felon. And life is different when you got that felony conviction. And that's all we're saying. Why can't black people get the benefit of the doubt, the benefit of consideration, the benefit of possibility? Why can't our children get the same considerations that little white children get? That's all we're asking for. That's all we want.
You know, it's interesting when I see you on TV. I see you on TV in different ways now, Mr. Crump. I see you in ways of, standing up for individuals who've been underserved, standing up for people who've been wrong. Now I'm seeing you on TV being honored. And those are moments, the Image Awards, recently the Griot, which I thought was an incredible moment for you because of the people within the audience and then the people standing up for you. I mean, when they announced you and gave you this the Griot Awards, those are moments, man. When I'm with my wife, I go, that's my boy right there. That's my friend right there. That's my boy right there. That's my friend right there. What goes through your head now that, you are at a different level? You are perceived in a different light. And when people see you come from and you talking for us, you talking for the underserved. Talk to us about being honored and then what it means as far as being responsible.
Rashawn, I give you a lot of credit when I would call in and you would always get me on the Steve Harvey radio show, even when we were talking about Trayvon Martin. Mm-hmm. And, I never forget, it's the mission that's the important thing. And I am humbled by all the accolades that I have been blessed with. And I give God all the glory because it's never you, it's God using you as a blessing. And so I always remember those things. And every time I get the platform of being recognized, I always try to use those moments to talk about the mission of trying to make a better world for our children, whether it was the Griot Awards or the Image Awards, or when I got this huge historic honor of them naming the law school after me, making the first time a practicing black attorney had a law school named after him. It's only been two. It's Thurgood Marshall, my hero, and now Ben Crump. So when you come to Miami, I got to give you a tour of the Ben Crump College of Law for John McDonough.
I love it.
Because you're a big part of that, brother. I mean, you having the vision to say, hey, man, you're going to be America's lawyer. You a brand. You're not just a lawyer.
Brand.
You speak for us, and you got to see where this is going to go. And even when I couldn't see it, people like you, people like Steve, y'all always welcome being trying to make the spotlight bigger for me. I can never say thank you enough, Frank.
Well, thank you. Because, when I look at, I need your voice. I need somebody I can talk to, not only with common sense, but legal sense. When I see what's going on in Florida and I see what's going on all over the country, I see how they're changing Black history right before us. And then you have I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. You're based in Florida. Talk about what's going on in Florida from your perspective and how, as we as a nation, can help you.
You talking about causing severe psychological trauma to Black students who have to be told what slavery was good for your people.
When you get into police brutality, they'll look at you. What did you do wrong? Did you instigate the cop? Did you cause that police person to act that way? Because when you start allowing people to take a story and bend it, and then all of a sudden you become the problem. You're not the victim anymore. You're the problem. And that's what they're saying about slavery. Oh, we brought you over here, but look here, we helped you to a better life.
It's just so asinine when you think about it. Even on the race massacres where they came and massacred and burned towns of 10s and 20s and hundreds of Black people. Mm-hmm. He's trying to say that they're trying to say the curriculum must say, well, we got to talk about the Black violence too. How could it be violent when you came to burn our homes and murder us, but you're saying now we got to teach both sides? Like when you talk about slavery, you got to teach both sides. I was very proud of Vice President Kamala Harris, who came to Florida and said, no, he's trying to draw us into an unnecessary debate. Slavery had no positive benefits for Black people. And the fact that slavery was evil and immoral, point blank, period. Right. The end of the discussion. We don't need to be dragged into this debate. But that's what he wants to do because he's trying to give his base red meat for them to continue to try to use racism to divide us.
It was really interesting when, because you can get branded a stereotype to say this is the type of cases that you represent. And when I saw you come to the front with those Northwestern football players, as much as I know you, I was caught off guard. I go, he do these cases too? It was like, isn't it as important to diversify, to show people the global perspective of your legal presence in this country and in this world?
Yeah, and Rashawn, we continue to evolve. And again, I looked at the examples of you and others who say, hey, you can't put me in a box. Right. I'm for all people. I'm for all justice when we fight this fight. Mm-hmm. And we have to continue to say, if it's wrong for our children, and it's wrong for your children, well, we fight for justice for everybody. So when we're talking about the Northwestern University hazing incident, we represent more white people, more white college athletes than we do Black college athletes. And that just shows the evolution and it gives hope for America, that white people are calling Ben Crump to represent them, not just Black people, because as the great John Johnson said, the founder of Ebony Magazine, there is no denying excellence. So we have to teach our children to always strive for excellence in everything they do.
Well, New York Magazine said Ben Crump may be the hardest working attorney in the country. And I always say this, when you don't know, you educate yourself. So after I saw him come to the podium representing the athletes for Northwestern University, I went to his website. I went to the website because I wanted to see some of the cases that he's represented. Car accident, burn, fire injuries, civil rights, medical malpractice, negligent security, nursing home and elder abuse, personal injury, product liability, premises liability, slip and fall, workman's compensation, wrongful death. My man, you forced me to learn more about somebody that I thought I knew. And I'm blessed to say you're doing it all, man, and you're doing it at the top of the level. But you're not doing it by yourself. You have a team. You have a law firm that's representing you behind the scene. You're the face, correct?
Absolutely. It's always a team effort. And now we have 15 offices, Rashad. I mean, God is truly blessing, and we are doing so many things. We're doing a lot of mass tort work, like we did the Roundup litigation, where the weed killer was causing non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, And again, we had more white people we represented than black people, and we were able to settle that case for millions and millions of dollars. And then also, we're dealing with right now the hair relaxer litigation with the chemical hair relaxer that affects a lot of people, and then the Johnson & Johnson, where we were dealing with the talcum powder that would cause them women to have, cervical cancer. And we're dealing with that. And that is stuff that is so far beyond police brutality, what people know me for. So it's just God is using you to say, I gave you this law degree, I gave you this legal education, go make a difference for people who don't have the resources and are being marginalized. So we try to give a voice to the voiceless. And again, Rashawn, man, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for always having the vision to see something in me that at the time I didn't always see in myself. But like my mother said, don't tell me who God can use.
We do that. Thank you very much for that, Attorney Crump. But like I said, when I saw you walk up to that podium with the Northwestern athletes, that let me know I didn't know everything I needed to know about you, which also told me I got to do some additional branding for my brother. I just can't come on my show and just talk about all these civil rights cases that are tied to police abuse. And there's a case that you just recently won, I think is going to be developed for a new documentary. Give us some more detail about that.
Yeah, it is a landmark in every sense. Henrietta Lacks, the black woman who in 1951, John Hopkins, were doing these experiments on black people, treating us like lab rats and guinea pigs. They butchered her and stole her cells because they were looking for cells, human cells that will regenerate outside the human body. And her miraculous cells, and I'm not surprised that it came from a black woman, they were the first cells in the course of human history to regenerate outside the human body. They will regenerate every 24 hours, and they've been doing so since 1951. And pharmaceutical companies have used her cells for every modern advancement in medical and progress in the last 70 years. If you've had a vaccine, if you've had any kind of modern medicine, if you benefited in any way from medicine, modern medicine and research in the last 70 years, then it's arguable, Rashawn McDonald, that you too got some of Henrietta inside you. I mean, she is the mother of modern medicine in every sense of the word. These pharmaceutical companies have made billions upon billions upon billions of dollars off of her immortal cells. Oprah Winfrey did a movie about her 12 years ago. And her family, her black family, hadn't ever received one red cent. And so they came to me and asked me if I could help them. And people said we were out of our mind. How you going to bring a 70-year-old lawsuit, Ben Crump? Well, we brought the lawsuit under the legal precedent of unjust enrichment, that you can't benefit from a wrongdoing. You can't benefit from a crime, because she died 8 months later after they butchered her cells. This 31-year-old mother of four, this beautiful, intelligent black woman.
Wow. And
70 years later, what is poetic justice, Rashawn, because on what would have been her 103rd birthday, August 1st of this year, 2023, the first pharmaceutical company settled with us and gave her family a confidential settlement. And so now it has paved the way that we can go out to every pharmaceutical company on earth. And my mother asked me, as my mom reads the newspaper on everything I do, Rashawn, she said, well, baby, they said you can go sue some of the other pharmaceutical companies now. How many more you gonna sue? And I told my mama, we gonna sue every last one of them.
We'll sue them all.
We'll sue them all.
Sue them all.
All of them. And so Netflix is making a documentary. RZA from Wu-Tang Clan is directing. He's a big science nerd. I mean, he's
also martial arts. The martial arts as well.
Yeah, exactly. And so he's directing. And so since Civil was so successful, You know, Hollywood saying, let's run it back again, Rashad.
Well, my brother, you know, when I bring you on the show, my whole goal is, one, to say I love you. But second thing, I acknowledge the Omega Psi Phi till the day we die. Another thing,
Exactly,
but more importantly, the journey of 2015 to now. You know, journey of us talking, telling you, hey, man, you can do it. You telling me what your dream is possible. But today, I just had to let everybody know that you're bigger than the perception that's being made by the media. Your firm protects America. That's why you are America's go-to lawyer, attorney Benjamin Crump.